All right, and we are live. What is up, people? It's your boy Sean Spencer. You see this guy right here. I'm so excited to have on my friend, Mr. Lawrence Skilnik.
How you
Lawrence,
doing? How you
how you
doing?
doing, man? Oh,
All
it's a
right,
good day.
Sean. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, you see the background, you see all the logos, you see the name of the show, Fourth and Goal, because hey, right down to the wire. So we're gonna talk about it. And we I think we should start. We were already talking for about 15, 20 minutes before now. So we're just gonna keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, we'll start with Washington. We played the Packers. Didn't look pretty. That defense is the truth. And they did it all that without having Jair Alexander, who, as we know, was traded over to the Ravens.
Right.
I honestly, I'm going to be honest, that defense was legit. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on their offense. Jordan Love, I was questioning him ever since he came out there. And I mean, he looked good against our defense. Now, our defense is a little older, but what do you think after seeing Jordan Love for 2 games?
Jordan Love, actually, it was funny. Like I heard, I don't know if it was Greenberg, but there's some guys like on the mothership there that were calling for Jordan Love to be the MVP this year. And
yep.
Yeah, I like Jordan Love. I like his game. I like the fact that he knows how to make the throws. You know, it's not a question of his arm or anything, but making the throws, dropping it in there when guys get freed up. He can do that. As soon as he can do that consistently, which he has been doing in the first 2 games, and I don't know if he's MVP, but if he keeps playing like that, he's going to be in the conversation. Absolutely. And he's got Josh Jacobs back in the backfield, who literally is a perfect running back for when the seasons change out here and November and December roll around. You know, Josh Jacobs is a guy you want in your backfield, you know, if you're playing half your games in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you know, in November and December.
And he's
going to be hard, you know, that I'm looking at. And like I said, Green Bay has elevated with Micah Parsons is absolutely. And we've seen in the first 2 games where he's not playing he's playing like half the snaps, trying to get back into football shape. And you can see already his presence alone is freeing up the other guys on that defense. And in my opinion, looking at look who they beat. They went Detroit. I mean, they had them at home, but Detroit and Washington, and the games were not as close as the score said. And that defense was all over the place. I mean, they're in the conversation for a top 5 defense at this point from being, you know, they were a better than average defense. They just became an elite defense with him.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And of course, you know, another hit to the body, you know, being the Bears, you know, we got to watch this all over again. It looks like, but Green Bay is Jesus, man. We talked about this before that I am not a guy who gets excited one way or another in September.
Yeah.
I think it takes like 4 games for us
to a couple more weeks
what we got, you know, in the league. And, you know, we talked about this last week, you know, when October rolls around after week 4, you got a good idea about 75% of the league at that point.
Right.
You know, you're always going to have the wild cards that are going to go on a roll and all that, but you got a pretty good idea about a lot of the teams. So I never get excited about week 1. Week 2, okay, you start maybe seeing some consistencies, maybe. Every now and again, there's 1 or 2 teams that stand out right away, and Green Bay is one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At this point, you have to consider them one of those top teams in the NFC. And to your point, you talked about the first 2 games they played. That was a divisional round matchup for last year. So both of us aren't any slouches, and it's easy to say we definitely improved. Now, the Detroit lost their coordinators, and I think that played a little role. But then you look at yesterday, and you're like, oh, maybe they didn't play as much.
I think it's really clear what happened with Detroit these 2 weeks. I think it looked like Dan Campbell against Green Bay was trying to, okay, now I got 2 new coordinators, my identity, we're going to change things up. I think that's what they did, because if anybody saw that massacre yesterday against my Bears,
what?
It was clear as day. They went back yesterday to the game plan they've been doing on offense for the last couple of years. They literally went back to what our guy was doing, what Big Ben was doing over there the last 3 years. And that was what we saw yesterday out of them, was the Detroit offense we've seen for the last 3 years. So they are who we thought they were.
Yeah. Yes, that is perfect. And I think, and then the fans let them know it. I heard they were saying F you, Ben Johnson, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So now you got to understand something about, like, I've told you this before. Chicago's where quarterbacks come to die. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the guys that you draft. It's an organizational thing where they have never been offense oriented. They've never brought in top-notch offensive minds to transform the room, in the Chicago Bears organization on offense. So drafting Caleb Williams, which I was completely against. I am not a Caleb Williams fan at all.
We talked about that.
I think he's got a lot of raw talent, but he's undisciplined. He hasn't been coached properly his whole career. Yeah. His fundamentals are for shit. He can't. And the throws were there last week against Minnesota. They were there. 4 or 5 of them, he didn't make the throws. Now, cannon for an arm, yes. Get it to anyone down the field, absolutely. But you got to be able to make those 20, 30-yard passes when your guys break open. You got to be able to drop it in there, and he can't do that right now. And
I've heard some people say that when he was on the script in like that first game, he looked good. And then he kind of
he looked like the number 1 draft choice that first quarter against Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think he went like 7 for 7 and took him right down the field. He was accurate. He wasn't throwing any balls down the field. He was, 5-10 yards at the most, mostly little drop-off dink passes. But he was sticking to script, but then, second quarter, things kind of even out a little bit. And then Minnesota went in there and made the adjustments. They only blitzed him once in the first half. They blitzed him 14 times in the second half and basically paralyzed the Bears offense.
Yep.
And that against Minnesota. And then, the defense was just on the field too long, and, Minnesota was able to play the one good quarter they've played in 2 games and, win the game.
Yeah. And that's what I was wondering going into that game last night. Was that Minnesota from the fourth quarter? Was the real Minnesota? And we clearly see that's not.
I would say that after the Minnesota game, even though they lost, you could see that they were making progress on offense.
Right.
Like I said, their throws were there. There were a few throws that were there for Caleb, and had he made them, the game would have turned out a different way. If he'd only made 1 or 2 of them, and he just can't make those throws yet, and until he does, the Bears offense isn't going to do anything. But that's something you can teach him. All right. That's not like, he's not lost forever or anything. It looked like there was progress being made. But then yesterday, which I can't even believe the words are coming out of my mouth, was not a Caleb Williams loss. That wasn't – I don't put any of that on him.
Huh. So it was on the defense? Was it on –
Oh, yeah. They got – the defense was getting run off the field from the very first snap.
Okay.
They were out-coached, out-game planned from the jump.
Yeah.
And it was ugly, man. They were just doing anything they wanted. It was the Detroit offense that we have seen for the 3 years that Ben Johnson was there.
Right.
I mean,
Amon-Ra had like 3 touchdowns in that game or something.
Yeah, Amon-Ra I think he had like 39.4 fantasy points. He went over 100 yards. His first 3 TD game of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Detroit scored, I think what was it, 50, 52. I think that was their third highest point total ever, tied for their third highest point total ever. And it was literally a 180 from the game plan they had against Green Bay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that was that they did against Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the Detroit Lions I've seen for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Jamar Gibbs was just that. I'm telling you, that guy's the fastest running back in the league. There's no doubt in my mind. There's nobody when he gets in the streets, there's nobody that can catch him.
Oh, absolutely. And if you go back and look at the divisional game against Washington, in the first half, he had over 100 yards, and they literally just stopped running him.
He had 100 yards. I think he had 100 yards exactly against the Bears in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, the guy is
both
talented.
Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams went over 100 yards. Both of them did. Jared Goff was, Jesus Christ, he scored 35 fantasy points. Like he was ridiculously accurate. He had his second 5 touchdown, 0 interception game in 2 years.
Yeah.
He did it last year. Who was it? The Vikings, maybe he did it against? I don't quote me on that, but he had a 5 touchdown, no interception game last year. And they were just doing whatever they wanted on offense. Jalen Johnson, the all-pro cornerback for the best player the Bears have on defense, went out in the second quarter. It looks like he's got a groin injury that's going to sideline him for a while again.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's sort of the heart.
In the first game, you had guys out, right? Didn't you have 2 corners out in the first game?
We were missing 3 of our 4 defensive secondary, 3 out of the 4 guys. And yesterday, I think we were missing guys too.
Damn.
So Jalen Johnson is out for a few weeks, as far as I know. They didn't put him on IR, which is a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll just be a couple weeks. But the Bears are just, and of course, like getting back to what your original question was, I think everybody. I feel how I feel about Caleb Williams, and it's not a popular opinion in Chicago that I have. Everybody latched their wagon to him before the draft even happened, and they were apologetic. I mean, they weren't apologetic. They were using his padded stats. That he got, I think it's like 63% of his stats came when the Bears were down at least 2 scores. So, he set rookie records, but that bar is on the ground. I mean, when it comes to the Bears. So, I mean, great. You got a rookie record. Great. I'm happy for you. Not impressed.
Got to give me more.
Because he didn't have a line around him last year. And see, that's the difference. The Bears actually went out and got him some help. You got the number 1 draft choice as a quarterback. You better find the biggest corn-fed motherfuckers you can find on the planet and protect this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you have weapons at wide receiver. You have weapons at tight end. Swift at the back.
Swift is a good running back if you keep his head in the game and keep him involved.
Right.
And here's the one good thing, the one bright light I saw yesterday with the Bears offense was that there is an obvious Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze have a very obvious connection. He was hitting Rome Odunze. He was throwing to him all day, and Rome was making the catches all day. I think there was only a couple. I don't have the exact stats in front of me.
At least 2 touchdowns because I had him on my
There
fantasy
was a couple
team.
of touchdowns. He was over 100 yards. He had the most targets on the team by far, and you could see like Caleb was like there was a couple of plays where they were doing it on the fly, and two of them connected. Rome got open. He was running with them. I mean, so that's a good sign that he's developed a rapport with arguably one of the best wide receivers the Bears have ever had. Definitely one of the best ones they've ever drafted. Rome Odunze definitely has star quality to him, man. He's got all the tools, and he's another guy who get him in space and you're not going to catch him. And he also
in college,
and he can also take a hit too. So that was one bright light I got out of that massacre yesterday.
Well, let's talk. You said you only have it's only 2 weeks, so you're not putting too much stock in this. But where do you guys go from here? Like, is it forget these 2 weeks and keep moving? Because the Ravens
here's the problem, okay? And I don't know that anybody really talks about this very much, but so as we all know, the NFL has a weighted schedule, okay? So they have it worked out. You can actually go on the website and look up how they have next year's schedule set up. And the way it looks is like you look at the NFC North and it'll say whoever's in first place will play week 1 AFC West, number 2.
Okay.
So it'll say like you're going to play whoever the second place team is in the NFC West in your first game next year. Okay. And it's weighted so that if you come in first place, you're gonna play your non-conference schedule, plus you're gonna play all the first and second place teams in the NFC. Yeah. Okay. And if you're in last place, you're gonna play all the last place teams, you're gonna play all the shit teams, and only have to play a couple of the good teams. Well,
it was our schedule last year.
So what happens is, as we all know, the last couple weeks of the year, they start resting guys if they've made the playoffs and if you're locked in. Now, what that does is it rearranges, because games that teams would normally win if they weren't resting everybody, they lose to these lesser teams. And so now the teams that are in the playoffs, all that stuff gets shuffled around by teams getting wins that they wouldn't normally get. So teams that were good but not quite enough to get good to the playoffs actually drop down to where they're playing shitty. Maybe they're playing a third place schedule now instead of the second place if they'd kept the starters playing.
Right.
And teams that aren't playing out the string are going to rest guys. So.
Right.
So what happened to the Bears is that the Bears have just an absolutely brutal road schedule. So let me tell you. Let me check this out, man. So we're going on the road to the Raiders in week 4.
Jeez.
Then after that, we are at Washington, at Baltimore. This isn't right in a row. I'm just giving you the road games. So at Las Vegas, at Washington, at Baltimore, at Cincinnati.
Well, Burrow's out. He's out for a couple months.
Plus we got to play the divisional road games. So we got that, and then we have to go. We go at Philadelphia.
Jeez.
At Green Bay.
Wait a minute. Didn't y'all finish last? How are you getting this?
And we got at San Francisco.
Good God.
Yeah, I mean, it is an absolute gauntlet of a road schedule that the Bears have. They might not win any of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. I don't
mean to laugh, but
they're favored in any of those games at this point. Maybe against the Raiders, but the Bears have an absolutely brutal road schedule for the rest of the year. It's insane. Like, you're literally playing all the best teams on the road. How about Baltimore, Philly, San Francisco, Cincinnati, all on the road. Besides having to go to Green Bay, Detroit, not Detroit, but Green Bay and Minnesota still.
Right.
I mean,
and that's not even mentioning your home games.
Yeah, and then we
Pittsburgh, Dallas,
Pittsburgh, Dallas. We get Cleveland at home. That's probably
right.
But
you're welcome. And you get the Saints, so you should get those two.
There were people in Chicago that were like sniffing playoffs this year, and I was like, I thought that Caleb Williams has a lot of raw talent. I can't believe he was I think they made him a number 1 draft choice because of what he did his junior year.
Yes.
But he wins the Heisman, but he can't beat anybody. He didn't win any big games.
Right.
He got smoked by Utah twice, and then they went and lost the bowl game.
Yeah.
So,
and I'd be interested to look. You made that point about how most of his 64% was after they were down 2 scores in the NFL. I'd be interested to look at his college schedule, some of the matchups, and when he got all those yards that made him great.
He reminded me a bigger version of Johnny Manziel. He was a splash player in college. He didn't.
All around
his fundamentals were terrible. His throwing mechanics were terrible. He couldn't make throws like a quarterback. He was a splash player. He was a bigger guy than most of the other guys on the field in college. What is he, like 6'3", 6'4", something like that?
Right.
He's a big dude. But you can't come into the NFL, as we've seen over and over again. The Johnny Manziels don't make it in the NFL.
Oh,
if your whole game is splash plays, forget about it.
Right. And that's what I've seen from him. There's a time when things are breaking down, that's when I see him turn around and start going around in the circle and let me run over here and let me do all this extra stuff. And it's just like, just roll out and look downfield.
I'll tell you that his mentality is still not where it's supposed to be. And I'll tell you how I know this. Because last week against Minnesota, right before the game, they interviewed him on the field and said, well, he gave us the normal cliches, we just got to hold it tight to the script and we'll be okay. And then he, as at the end, through no prompting, he goes, I just have to pick and choose when I be Superman. And I'm just like,
ask for that. We don't need that.
He doesn't.
Oh man.
And he
really said that.
He doesn't get it yet.
No.
And it's, you're not getting paid. First of all, you're not good enough to be calling even thinking about Superman stuff. All right. You need to learn the offense. You need to let the coaches coach you, which they can coach his mechanics. They can coach him. I don't know if you can coach touch. That's kind of an intangible, I think. Drew Brees had that. That's a natural thing. Brady had it. All the great ones have it. I'm not sure if that's something you can teach because I don't know enough about quarterbacking I could tell you that in basketball or baseball, but
football with touch. I think it's, but if there is a coach that could do it, we've seen Ben Johnson.
My thing with Caleb was that I thought with the proper coaching in the right organization with the proper recognized offensive coaches that could develop him and had veterans around him where he wasn't being relied on to do everything. That he had, especially an old crusty ass, third string veteran in the room to, kick him back into play when need be and pat him on the back when need be, kick him back into play when he needs to. That's a huge thing for these guys. Having somebody around that knows the league, knows how to play in the league and
been there
and has to tell him that, dude, you got to get out of this Superman thing. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
You're not good. First of all, you're not good enough for that. Second of all, that's not what you're getting paid to do.
Right.
And now they bring in Ben. Okay, glimmer of hope. They go out, they load, they get brand new guards and a center, 4-time Super Bowl, 2 rings with New England, 2 rings with the Chiefs. You got 3 former Pro Bowl guys. And I'm like, okay, all right, now we're getting somewhere. You have a proper coach that can teach him, but this isn't going to happen overnight.
No.
Caleb Williams is not going to be a reliable guy until they are able to teach him his proper throwing mechanics, his checkoffs. Like, I don't think he gets it yet. And now, with all that being said, he wasn't the reason that the Bears got smoked yesterday. So he didn't do anything to hurt them, anything bad to hurt them. I think he had a pick or two, but the game was all right. They were up 14 points right away, and it was never a game. It was never closer than 14, I don't think. So the defense got smoked. They got out. The offensive coordinator for Detroit totally outmanned our guy.
Oh yeah, it looked that way. I hate to say it. But it looked rough.
I'm not afraid to give my team shit. Okay,
yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, I'm going to call it like I see it. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. It's not about being right. It's just what I see. Okay, and this is what I see. I don't hate the guy. I personally wanted if you're going to draft a quarterback, I wanted Jaden Daniels. I thought Michael Penix was a better choice than Caleb Williams. Bo Nix was a better choice than Caleb Williams because these guys were all further along in their development. Right. And these guys with the proper game plan could have helped the Bears quicker. Right. With Caleb Williams, it was always going to be, there's going to have to put in work with this guy. Now, with I thought 5 or 6 years down the road that Caleb Williams would develop into a guy who could conceivably, be a playoff quarterback. Because he's got the talent. The talent's there. He's got a cannon for an arm. I mean,
absolutely.
He can throw the ball downfield with anybody, but he can't make the throws, if you know what I mean. And so his completion percentage is misleading because he doesn't throw down the field very often. So, but he did not lose that game yesterday. We didn't lose because of Caleb. We lost because the defense got smoked. And it was unstoppable. They couldn't stop it. It's I
hate to see that, man.
These games are painful to watch, man.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
And seriously, I had the Bears at 7-10.
Yeah,
going 7-10. From the looks of things right now, I don't see 7 wins on the schedule anywhere. I don't see 7. I mean, I was thinking 7-10 because I figured that they would catch up a little bit to Green Bay for sure because Jordan Love hadn't developed yet. And we got the win against them in the last game of the season last year. So that was promising. But then Micah Parsons comes in and just basically changes the whole atmosphere of that team. And, so now you got, three playoff teams in the division. Still the toughest division in the league. I don't know where the wins are going to come from, man.
You know what? I'm looking at the schedule now. Depending on how long JJ's out for, and I think he's just out for potentially a week or so. He's not out for a long time, right? JJ McCarthy?
I think they said 2 weeks is what I think I saw.
So
let me check on that real quick. They're saying 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Well,
2 to 4 weeks.
He'll probably be back by your game.
But but
I'm seeing Minnesota
is still a better team than the Bears. I mean,
right. But you had them for 3 quarters, and then they had one good quarter.
The defense was on the field too long. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
Like I said, they after the first quarter, the Bears really couldn't move the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit adjusted really well right out of, in the second quarter, you could see them adjusting to it, and the Bears weren't moving it as much. And then in the second half, I mean, Detroit just adjusted completely. One blitz on Caleb Williams in the first half, 14 in the second half. And Caleb Williams looked like every Bears quarterback there's been for the last 40 years, running for his life.
Yeah.
Always running for his life, man. The Bears offensive line's got a lot of penalties these first 2 weeks. So it's obvious that, we got capable guys. They're just not playing as a unit yet. I think people were getting their hopes up about playoffs way too much. And I didn't really do a whole lot of commenting on it over the summer and in preseason because, all I have is negativity, basically.
Yeah.
I don't have, there's not a whole lot.
But it's realism, though, because you're not.
And even Ben said as soon as he took the job that don't expect like miracles to come out falling out of the sky right away.
Right.
It's going to take time. And I think when you're so close as a fan base to a situation, you don't always see from outside how bad it really looks and has looked for decades. Okay. So it's not just like getting these players to play together. It's also about changing a whole, like a league-wide known atmosphere. If you play on offense and you're in Chicago, if you don't get out of there as a free agent or get traded, your career's over.
It is. I mean, just what you have to live up to. Think about that running back. Any running back that comes up in there has to live up to sweetness, which is impossible.
But
you can't do that.
We're so far removed from that's really, that's not an issue anymore. I don't think
most people I've talked to will always still, and I know this is because this is the last championship, but most people always reference 85, and they'll be like, "Well, we need to get a defense like that." That was a once in a lifetime thing.
That's what a lot of people don't get. That 1985 team, I would put that team on the field against any team that's ever fucking won a championship in the NFL. I would absolutely put them out on the field. Right. Because it's my belief they could stop just about anybody.
That defense
was ridiculous, and they could play today. That's a defense you could stick in today, and they would. I don't know if they'd be 15-1, but that would be a playoff team, absolutely. Yeah. But again, that's 40 years ago, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, now looking back on it, and you see all these shows that rank old defenses, and the Bears are always number one or number two, like on everybody's list all the time. It's either the 78 Steelers or the 85 Bears. And then you come in, a close third is the 01 Ravens, or the 2000 Ravens.
2000 Ravens, yeah.
But it's always the 78 Steelers and the 85 Bears. And for one season, anyway, that Bears team was unbeatable. I mean, they really were. And it wasn't just they were unbeatable. They rolled people. I mean, you go back and look at the scores of those games that Jesus Christ, they went on national TV at 10-0 into Dallas and on national TV with Pat Summerall and John Madden announcing the game at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock game, 44-0, laying it on America's team.
Didn't Ditka feel bad because him and Landry were so close?
Yeah, he felt bad, but Landry didn't blame him for it. He's like, "What are you gonna do? What's he supposed to do?"
Right.
And my team,
they did that to
my
everybody.
team played like shit. So I mean, Landry would never say that, but
staying with that team in those years, you think about it. In '84, you go to the championship and you lose to San Francisco,
and that was a fluke,
right? Oh yeah.
Well, it wasn't a fluke; it was a surprise. Like the Bears had been.
But you guys were. legit that year too.
Well, the Bears in '83, the strike shortened '83. I think the Bears ended up 3-6 that year with the strike shortened season. So, or no, in '82 that was when they drafted McMahon, and then '83 I think they were like 6-10 or something like that, 7-9, and '84 they ended up 10-6 that year, and I want to say they won like 4 of the 5 last games.
Yeah,
get in as a wild card, and then had to go on the road to RFK to play the defending champs. The Redskins were the defending champs that year, and in a great game of for the ages that game was.
We had Schrader.
The Bears. Oh yeah, Jay Schrader. Yeah. With,
wait. 86. Yeah. Or what year? Wait a minute.
No, Jay Schrader was 80.
He was 85 because that's
85.
when.
Well, he came in after the Theismann broke his leg.
Right.
In 85, but Theismann was the quarterback in 84.
Yeah, it was 84 because 83 is when we lost to the Raiders and Tampa in the Super Bowl. And then coming off of that year in 84, we lost to you guys. But that was Theismann. Because 85, you guys go all the way.
And then we went the next week and got shut out in San Francisco to, one of the best 49er teams they had there. They go on.
Yeah.
They ended up playing Miami and Marino's only
Yep.
Super Bowl of his career. But and then and then the Bears, like in 85, started out 0-3 in the preseason.
Oh.
After that, run to the championship, and everybody's like, okay, well, everybody got concerned because in those days, game 3 of the preseason is when all the starters would play the game.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the Bears got fucking smoked by somebody in game 3 with the starters playing, and everybody's like, oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
And then I actually went to the 4th preseason game that year in Chicago where they smoked a waning Buffalo Bill team 45-14.
So real quick on that, I actually found I don't know how I was looking at this, but I love looking at old school preseason games. I found that game, the 85 Bears against the Bills, because at halftime, and I know you know this being a Chicago guy, Nick and them were telling me about it. At halftime, it was like the Tumblers it was like a group that would come out and then leap over a group of like kids or whatever. It was like that was they were acrobats of some kind. Yeah. It was crazy to see that preseason game because I've seen most of the 85 season. I always like to go back and look at the live airs of all the games because I love listening to some all and Madden. But I remember finding that and being like, oh my goodness. If you watch that preseason game against Buffalo, I'm on TV in that game. There's one of the kickoffs, and I believe it was in the second half. Our seats were in the 3rd row of the end zone of the north end zone. Yeah. And there is a kickoff that goes through the end zone and bounces right up to me. And I love it. 2 bounces right up to me, right off my chest, back into play. And I spent the first month of that season just getting crucified because everybody was watching it and saw it on TV. And I was clear as day right off of me. So if you go back, if you actually have access to that game, go back and look at the kickoffs that are going from right to left on your screen. Oh, yeah. And there's a kickoff that rolls through the end zone on one of the kickoffs, bounces up to a guy in the stands, and then he muffs it right off of him. That's me. You first or second half? Do you know? Do you remember? I think it was the second half. Okay. I got to go look at it because I do have it right
If you
here.
find it, I want to see it because it's bad,
I'll
dude.
send it to you.
It was in my hands, and I just totally blew it, totally choked it. And I got crucified for that shit. In fact, my dad never forgot it.
Oh,
for the rest of the time he was alive.
You could have
Every
been
now
great.
and again, out of nowhere, when we would be drinking together, he would just randomly, yeah, but you can't catch an easy fucking 2-bounce football in the stands, can you? Like, oh God! And it
they
was
put you on the hands team.
Oh, everybody was watching because they knew I was at the game. So all my friends were watching.
Yeah.
Because I was at the game and I was in the third row in the middle, like right behind the goalpost.
Yeah.
In third row in the end zone. So it was real easy. If I just stood up, you could see me on TV.
Right. Oh my God. I just sent it to you. I sent you the second half of the preseason game.
Okay.
And that's why I think it starts with the tumblers. So that's what
I'll see if I can find it, man.
Oh,
but
man, let me know.
Bad,
I'm gonna go watch.
It was not my finest hour at all. I totally choked. Totally.
Yeah. Hey, I mean those moments come at you so quickly. I mean, you never know when that's gonna happen, man. But I can imagine it was probably slow motion.
And you know what? The sad part is I would have had to give. In those days, I would have had to give the football back. Like they came back.
Oh,
if balls went in the stands, you had to give them back.
Oh, damn. Yeah, because they didn't have the netting. Right?
They didn't have that shit back then.
Yeah.
They didn't have the netting back then. Yeah. I think we did. I think the Dallas Cowboys, were the first ones to have the netting, and it slowly spread around the league. So not all the teams had it.
Right.
I think the Bears did have it that year. But again, with my muff, it was a kickoff. So there was nothing there. It just came right through the end zone, right to me, choke.
And bounced up.
In those days, you had to give it back. I was going to fight. I would have fought him. If I would have ran out of the fucking stadium.
Go.
Those footballs are expensive, man. That's why they always find the guys. They find Sweetness $500 that year for throwing a football up into the stands. Find a $500.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That was funny. Like Walter Payton would never get fined for anything except he would occasionally throw a ball in the stands once a year and take the $500 hit.
I'll take that. Right. I'll take that. No problem. Look, let me ask you this.
Like the Bears fan base.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we live in the past. Like most of us, like the 85 Bear, and that should have been more Super Bowls too.
Oh, absolutely.
But, as is typical of city of Chicago, too many egos all together, and they never made it back to the Super Bowl. But that's everybody clings to it, like it's and it's 40 years now. It's embarrassing now because it's been 40 years. So it's not even. I don't even. I try not to bring up 85 much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said before, that was a once in a lifetime.
Yeah. The only thing I always say with that game. Yeah. No, I agree. No, one thing I'll always say about that game, and it's come from the research I've done after the fact and talked to many of you Bears fans. I've watched that entire game, start to finish. And then I always love to go back and see when Reagan talks to Payton. But then hearing the backstory of that, how Payton didn't get the touchdown and Payton wasn't trying to talk to anybody because he was upset.
Right.
And I mean, obviously we'll never get another chance to see it. Rest in peace to the great Walter Payton. But just, Matsuhi got it. The defense got it. Refrigerator got it.
McMahon had two touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then I was always like I really wasn't a big fan of Mike Ditka, man. I was a fan of how he was able to elevate the players to be more than what they thought they could be. I always had respect for that.
Right.
As a person, not so much. And And he lost me forever when his explanation after his game was, I didn't realize that Walter wasn't in there. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck off totally with that shit. I have never forgiven him for that. That was a horseshit, cowardly explanation.
That was rough. Yeah.
Walter Payton, out of everybody on that Bears team, and he was already a 10-year veteran,
right,
going into that season, his 11th year in the league, and still led the NFC in rushing that year. Second only to Marcus Allen, I believe, for the league lead.
85.
Or maybe it was Dickerson. I can't remember.
When the Dickerson broke the record at 84. That's when he had 21
yeah. But then him and Payton were the top two guys in the NFC in 85.
Yeah.
Payton ran for like almost...
It's always funny to hear how Payton breaks the record or wins the rushing title, and they gave him like a Ferrari or something.
Yeah.
And then when Dickerson broke it, they gave him a carrot cake.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and I mean, Dickerson's a great player, but Dickerson is he's not gonna break any IQ test records, put it that way. Yeah. You know, he was lovably not. He wasn't as gifted in his brain as a lot of other people, but he was lovable about it. He wasn't a guy you hated or anything like that. You know, he wasn't. Yeah. But you know, that cowardly explanation about, well, I didn't realize that Walter hadn't been on the field. You know, fuck all the way off. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I never forgave Dick. I've still never forgiven him for that.
Yeah.
Because out of every guy on that team that deserved to have his moment in the sun was Walter.
Yep.
And the fact that they got the first score of the game because Walter fumbled on the third play of the game, which it was only his second fumble all year.
Yeah.
The defense went right out there and got a 3 and out, and they only got 3 points out of it. And then, you know, of course, the Bears go 44 straight, you know. And I was
about to say, didn't they start with the lead in that game?
Yeah, the Bears had the ball first. Walter fumbled on like the second or third play of the game. Mm-hmm. And the Bears D got a quick 3 and out on them, and they got 3 points. And New England was actually leading 3-0 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bears scored 44 unanswered after that.
It was ugly. I
remember to not be aware that the single greatest player on that team, universally recognized as the best player on that whole team, you don't make sure that he gets in the end zone? Fuck no.
Mm-mm.
That was.
I've heard people say that. The Patriots, they were keying on him, and he was better for defense.
Well, they were keying on him.
They were, but I don't care. You go 11 personnel and you just go.
They got there were 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen on that squad.
Mm-hmm.
They had the best offensive line in the league. Nobody could move those guys. Give me a fucking. Walter had almost 1,400 yards rushing that year. Don't tell me you can't get him in the end zone when you're down there.
You bring in
times.
Right, and you bring in Perry. You bring in the refrigerator. What better lead
blocker than that? I didn't have a problem with everybody who was scoring.
Yeah.
My problem was that you should have made sure he got in first.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm saying. And then you keep bringing these guys in, and you're not giving him the ball. That was bad, man. And to Walter's credit, he never publicly admonished anybody about it. He never.
Yeah.
It was, you could see afterwards he was happy about winning, but he really they started asking him questions about getting the touchdown, and he gave one answer and was trying to get out of it. He didn't want to talk about it. And that's just the kind of guy he was. He was 10 times better of a man than he ever was a football player. And that's what I idolized about him. He's the only guy I've ever fanboyed over my whole life. Was Walter? Well, listen, they drafted. He came to the Bears when I was 11. I was in. Nice. I was in 7th grade, his rookie season. Wow. 11 years old, and he retired when I turned 24.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 24 right after their last game of the regular season that year on Christmas Eve. So he was the guy my whole formative years. He was my idol. Yeah. And in those days, you didn't have the internet, so you would hear all the stories getting out about him, that he really was, not only was he cool, not only was he the biggest prankster on the Bears, he was known throughout the NFL. Yeah. Like, he would fuck with visiting, he would fuck with the other teams too. Just doing silly little boy stuff, you know? Yep. He didn't talk smack. He didn't engage in none of that stuff. But for example, every year, every Wednesday, he would send the receptionist at Hallis Hall out to a 2-hour lunch, pay for everything. Nice. And then he would sit at the front desk of Hallis Hall from 12 to 2 every Wednesday.
I love that.
Answering phones. He would put on he would put on big old, horn rim Poindexter glasses and a shirt and tie with a pencil protector, trying to disguise himself, right? And he would answer phones and direct people in the building. And most of the time, people had no idea that he was sitting there.
I love it.
And he did it like his whole career. You know, I mean, he was just they didn't name the Man of the Year award after him for nothing. Walter was a top quality man.
Yes, all around.
And he was just, even at the end, he was a little boy playing a big man's game, loving every minute of it. Yep. And for all of his greatness and sweetness, like he wasn't like Franco Harris. He wasn't a run out of bounds guy. Walter, if he wanted, dude, if he got to the sideline, he was putting his head down and he was rolling you. And Walter was not afraid of contact at all.
No, sir.
He, in fact, during the NFC Championship, before that game, Madden had a sit down with him. And at one point he asked Walter, what do you think is the greatest? What was your greatest play, do you think, of your career? And Madden and then you could see they go away from him and you see Walter running for touchdowns and stuff in the background. They go back to Walter, expecting that Walter's going to say, maybe the run against Kansas City in 77, where he basically hit every guy in the defense.
That was so beautiful.
No, Walter said the best play he ever made in his career was in week 3 of the 85 season. They played at Minnesota on a Thursday night. Yeah. And Jim McMahon, Steve Fuller started the game because McMahon was hurt. The Bears were down. Were they down? They were down 13-9 maybe, or some kind of thing like that. 16-9.
That's not the one where McMahon, where Ditka said, "I'm not going to start McMahon."
Well, no, he was hurt. He was hurt, and we got into the third quarter, and the Bears' offense just couldn't do anything.
Right.
And the Bears were behind on the road on national TV, Thursday Night Football. And back then they didn't play Thursday. That was the only Thursday game of the year, I think, that year. Yeah. And McMahon, you see him he's in his ear, Ditka's ear, to put him in the game. And they kept cutting to him. And, of course, they had, Cosell and Frank Gifford in the booth. And so finally he puts McMahon in. And McMahon, on the very first play, stumbles going back and almost goes down trying to recover the ball because of bad snap. Almost goes to almost one knee, going back, gets back up, and you see Chris Dolman coming in on McMahon's left, and literally out of nowhere comes this blur and just lays Dolman on his ass.
Yes.
McMahon recovers, throws to a wide open Willie Gault first pass touchdown.
Yep.
Bears are down by 1 at that point. Well, McMahon goes on to throw 3 touchdowns in 7 passes.
Yeah.
So, but Walter said that the greatest play he ever made was that hit. That was Walter Payton coming in and laying Chris Dolman, a big-ass linebacker, on his back.
Oh, yeah.
Dolman's coming full speed, and literally Payton was a blur out of the left side of the screen and laid him out. McMahon had all day, gets up, throws the strike to Willie Gault, 7 points.
Yeah, they had damn. And that Minnesota defense was solid.
That Minnesota defense was a top 5 defense back then. Yeah. And that play, I think, changed the whole season because the whole tone of that game changed at that point. The Bears go on to win like 33-19, I think, or 33-17, something like that. They get, they scored 24 points in the second half to end up rolling Minnesota, and from that game on, it was the Bears circus for the whole rest of the season. They just kept beating teams worse. They were laying out quarterbacks every week. They were sending quarterbacks off the field every week. But it was that game, and Walter said that was the best block I ever made in my life. And it literally, I think that play, McMahon throwing the touchdown, set the whole tone for the rest of the season. Because they were unbeatable after that.
Right.
But it was
unfortunately, unless you were Dan Marino.
Yeah, unless you were
That's
Dan
why
Marino.
you guys always wanted that rematch.
Everybody wanted that rematch. And the Bears fans wanted that rematch. We didn't want New England. That was like a letdown to us. That was a whole big letdown because we'd already beaten New England once during the season. They weren't. They didn't have anybody that could compete. They didn't have anybody on that team.
Grogan out that game.
Yeah, they knocked out Grogan, or they knocked out Tony Eason was the quarterback.
Eason was the starter, right? That brought
University
Grogan
of Illinois. And they ended up knocking him out in the second quarter. Grogan came in for the rest of the game. Eason never came back. But it was, they had no chance. Craig James from, part of the half of the Pony Express from SMU was with Dickerson was the lead back on that New England team. Dickerson and James, who got out of there right. They got out of there just in time for the death penalty. SMU got the death penalty right after they left there.
Exit stage right. Yep.
Yeah. So.
The
whole Bears stuff. We were all disappointed. Everybody wanted Miami. Everybody wanted.
I can believe it. I believe it
because everybody believed there was no way Miami could beat them on a neutral field. And plus, since the Bears had seen what they had done, and Buddy Ryan had seen what they had done, they would have adjusted to that. They wouldn't have been able to do that again.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch that Monday night game against Miami, Miami got 3 fluke plays in that game, 2 fluke touchdowns. And so that game easily could have been a much closer game. The 2 fluke touchdowns, that was the difference in the game.
Right. Was it enough? What was it, 38-20 or was it
38-24, I believe it was.
Yeah, like a 14-point game, right?
Yeah. So. And those 2 fluke plays were the difference in the game. So everybody wanted Miami. And everybody knew Miami was the Bears and Miami were the 2 best teams in the league. And that would have been Marino's second Super Bowl. So there would have been you would think a part of the country be rooting for him, but the Bears were just a juggernaut across the country that year.
Yes.
And the Bears actually made people in other countries start liking the NFL.
And we also started the trend of making music videos during the season.
Oh,
Everybody
God.
tried to do the shuffle.
Hold that thought. I got to go to the bathroom real quick. Hold that thought because I want to talk to you about that Super Bowl shuffle.
Well, actually, okay, all right. All righty. We are going to shut this one down. Good stuff.